In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 styling components that you need to add to your AI art today. These 10 styling components completely change the look and feel of your AI generated images. Now I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's dive into these 10 AI art styles. Once again, we are back in my AI art studio where I favorited 10 out of my 50 favorite styles within this database. Now I'm going to be using this template throughout the duration of the video, and if it interests you at all, you can purchase it using the link in the description. With it comes 500 different design components, including styles, color palettes, compositions, emotional tones, inspirational references, and the list goes on. Now today, I'm just going to be touching on 10 of my 50 styles that I like the most. It also comes with a nice homepage gallery where you can load all of your images, and then you can even go to the back end and see all of your prompts that you used in order to generate those images. It also comes loaded with 10 engineered prompts that I came up with. Styling technique number 1 is Surrealism. And this one is one of my favorite because it creates some very, very interesting photos. Surrealism was actually invented by a poet named Andre Breton in 1924. So you've probably actually heard of Surrealism before, but it can give you some very, very cool and interesting results. There's elements of being in some sort of dream state, but also real life. Right now, what I'm going to do is use Midjourney 5.1, the opinionated version of Midjourney, in order to generate a picture for what is Surrealism. So all I have right here is the word Surrealism typed out. I'm going to send it off. I'm going to be doing this for all of the styles so that it gives you an idea of what does Midjourney think when it comes to using this style. So as you can see, it generates some very interesting photos. There's fish floating in the sky, a hot air balloon holding up an entire island, interesting looking trees. There's some alien looking creatures down in the bottom right. So Surrealism, you can really start to enter that dream state of mind within your art. If we go here to my art gallery, as you can see, for one of my prompts, I actually used Surrealism in with a vintage car. So for this prompt, I typed in a vintage car in the style of Surrealism, and it gave me this nice photo right here. It looks like it has some car parts coming out of this tree, and this is a very, very interesting looking car. So Surrealism can make a boring image very fun. Styling element number 2 that I love using within all of my AI art, and honestly, maybe one of my favorite styling components, is low poly. Now, low poly only started emerging around 2013, but it gives off a very, very clean and professional look in my opinion. So as you can see, low poly is another one of my styling components that I have within this database, 1 out of 50, pretty insane. But as you can tell, these images look so nice when generated in low poly. And actually, if you look at my YouTube channel, my banner image and my profile picture are both low poly images. Now let's see what Midjourney's opinion is with low poly. I'm going to send off this prompt. So it actually looks like Midjourney chose animals for this example. And as you can see, this nice low poly styling really adds a whimsical touch to all of your images. I don't know why, but I am just in love with this look. We can take a look at some of the other images I've generated in my gallery. And as you can see, I used just low poly butterfly on version 5.1, and it generated this awesome image of this butterfly. So if you're designing characters, whether that's for a book or a video game or something using Midjourney, then I really like that low poly feel. I think you can really create a consistent style when using low poly. Midjourney styling element number 3 is Synthetism. Synthetism was actually created by a group of people in the 1880s in order to emphasize two-dimensional flat patterns. And Synthetism was huge because this broke down the Impressionist art and its theory. I used a huge combination of all of my components within my art studio database in order to make this image. As you can see, I used Synthetism for the styling, I used a queen for the subject, a rolling vineyard for the background and environment, and for the emotional tone, I actually used utopian mood. And the Synthetism style of painting made for a very cool image. Let's see what Midjourney thinks of Synthetism. So it's kind of funny because in the word Synthetism also lies the word synth. So I think Midjourney took the word synth and tried to apply it in some of these pictures. But as you can see, the top right picture turned out stunning. I absolutely love this image, and it adds a whole new element to two-dimensional patterns. It makes it a lot more fun and a lot more exciting, and I am starting to think that I am underutilizing this styling technique. Styling technique number 4 is glitch art. Now, glitch art is the practice of using digital errors for aesthetic purposes. So whether it's videos or AI-generated images, glitch art can add a very cool effect. So within all my styles I have in this database, I like generating one image so you can actually see what the style looks like. And I actually generated these images with Midjourney so that you knew what you were getting into when using one of the 50 styles. So this is an image generated by Midjourney v5 actually for glitch art. As you can see, it makes it look like this human is glitching within this photo, and it adds a very nice effect. Let's see what Midjourney 5.1 thinks. I'm going to paste that in and then send it off, and now let's see the results. As you can see, some very, very cool results just by typing in glitch art. Now let's go back to my component database and find a subject to use with the styling technique of glitch art. So I'm just going to open my components database and find subjects. I'm going to open that up, and now let's look through these and find a nice subject to use with glitch art. And I think I'm going to use a dolphin in the style of glitch art. So I'm going to copy that, head back to Midjourney, type in /imagine, paste in a dolphin in the style of, then I'm going to copy glitch art, paste it in, and now let's send it off to see these two elements combined. As you can see, it actually combined the two and made for some pretty cool art. I think my favorite would have to be either the top left or the bottom right. I kind of like how it's using the colors as part of the dolphin's body, and it almost looks like the dolphin is coming out of the glitch. Part of me loves that I made this AI art studio. Part of me doesn't like it because I spend too much time combining these elements and just having fun. You know, what does it look like to combine this style with this subject or this subject with this background and environment? So it really boosts the creativity quite a bit. Styling technique number 5 is Romanticism. Romanticism was founded in the 18th century in Western Europe and has a heavy focus on emotion and individualism. And you can definitely see the emotion when you're using it within your AI-generated images. So this is the example image for Romanticism. As you can see, it stands out from the other styles. The way it lights the image, the serene vibe, it definitely gives off that Romanticism unique styling technique. Now the image that I just showed you is generated with Midjourney v5, but now let's see what Midjourney 5.1 thinks of this style. So it took the word romance within Romanticism and actually made a romantic looking scene. The whole point of Romanticism is to invoke a feeling of emotion, not just reason and order, and I think these images do a very good job at that. The lighting, the elegance, the waves, the wispiness of these pictures really do a wonderful job at invoking emotion. Styling technique number 6 is Metaphysical Art. Now this painting style and movement began in 1910 by two Italian painters, Giorgio de Chirico and Carlo Cara. Now I don't know if Midjourney does the best job at actually representing what that painting style was, but when metaphysical art is used in Midjourney, it does generate some cool results. So let's dive into the art studio and see what kind of styles this is outputting. So when the metaphysical art style is used within Midjourney, these are the kind of results that it gives you. It gives you this nice airy, wispy feel. There's lots of colors, lots of depth within your images. Now once again, this is a Midjourney v5 photo, so let's check it in 5.1. So I've pasted in metaphysical art here, but what I want to do is go back to my art studio and look for a subject I can use. I'm just going to open up my favorites and use a classic if you've been following along in my Midjourney tutorials. I always like using the dragon as a subject, so I should probably actually switch it up. I'm going to use a parrot instead, head back over to Midjourney, and then I'm going to paste in a parrot in the style of metaphysical art, and then I'm going to send it off, so now we kind of have a base subject to use. So as you can see, Midjourney 5.1 actually interprets metaphysical art a little bit differently. The top right image still uses some of those wispy, airy effects, but overall, I just think metaphysical art is a very fun style to mess around with. You can get some very neat images. As you can see, a little while ago, I generated a butterfly in the style of metaphysical art using version 5.1, and as you can see, the metaphysical style used in the example image I showed you earlier, some of those lines, the wispiness, and the depth provided with it. Styling technique number 7 is Fauvism. Fauvism was created by a group of early 20th century modern artists, and their work was characterized by strong colors and fierce brushwork. Let me show you the example. So as you can see, we have Fauvism here, and this is the image example. It's definitely emphasizing the strong colors and the fierce brushwork. And let me tell you, when using this in images, it does work out very nicely. So if you're going for the style, I highly recommend using it. Now that I've got that style copied, what I'm going to do is go to my subjects and look for a nice subject to use. I don't really want to use any of my favorite subjects, so I'm going to go look in the big subjects database within my components, and I'm going to use a ballerina. I think a ballerina in the style of Fauvism will actually work out wonderful. So I'm going to head over to Midjourney and type out a ballerina in the style of, and paste in Fauvism, and it's automatically on 5.1. So now I'm just going to send it off, and let's see the image it generates. As you can see, it generated some very, very nice images. It kind of reminds me of Synthetism a little bit. I think these colors are a little bit more bold than the colors of Synthetism though, and I do think it does a very good job with Midjourney 5.1 of representing what the styles of painting looked like in the early 20th century. You know, this looks like something that these painters actually would have created. Styling technique number 8 may seem a little bit dark, but it works very well in images, and that is the Gothic styling. Now, the Gothic style originated in the 12th century, so this is a very, very long time ago. Now, the Gothic style was invented by a French statesman by the name of Abbot Suger. Now, Suger was a very powerful figure at the time, and he actually invented the Gothic style and was the mastermind behind the first ever Gothic cathedral, the Basilica of Saint Denis. So this style was actually used within architecture, but it also generates some awesome, dark, mysterious AI images. Let me show you some of my examples. So when I just typed in the word Gothic to Midjourney V5, this is what it brought up. So as you can see, some of the Gothic architecture, the style of clothing, and the mood of the image looks very Gothic. And if we go down here, I do have another example of Gothic that I use that I really like. So Ethereal Landscape by Gothic Cathedral. So I used the Gothic technique in order to generate this image right here. And it added a very crazy mood to the image. It looks dark, it looks uninviting, a little scary, so you can use this style to your advantage if you want to give off that kind of vibe within that picture. So I want to get a little bit creative here. I'm going to go to my subjects, and I'm going to look for something that is seemingly elegant, but then I'm going to add the Gothic style to it in order to change the entire mood of that setting. So as you see, I could do an abandoned building in a Gothic style, but an abandoned building already kind of gives off the style of being Gothic. So I'm going to look for something a little bit more fun and upbeat. Let's do a tropical island in a Gothic style. I'm going to copy a tropical island, head over to my Midjourney, paste that in. So now we have a tropical island in a Gothic style. And I'm on 5.1, so it's going to be a little opinionated, and let's see what Midjourney comes up with. So these are the images it generated. It tried tying in a nice tropical island, and especially in this bottom right one, you can tell it goes from nice and tropical at the bottom, and then when you get up to the clouds and the black birds flying in the sky, you can see that this is a very Gothic looking image. I think the top right also does a very nice job. There's elements of a tropical island, but it just looks like it's a rundown Gothic building on this tropical island. There's dark clouds, there's the birds flying in the sky. I don't know why, but the birds flying in the sky always give off that kind of sketchy element. Styling technique number 9 is pixel art. Pixel art became popular in the 1970s when computers were being created because they were creating big images with a bunch of pixels. And back then, that probably wasn't the quality that they were going for, but now people can use it for aesthetics, video games, images, or whatever they think looks good when using pixel art. So when I open up pixel art on the art studio, as you can see, this is my example image that I've provided, and I think this is a pretty good example image. Midjourney, most of the time, will get pixel art 100% correct. So you can combine this with a lot of different things, or you can just combine it with a subject. So I'm just going to go look for a subject to create, and I'm just going to combine that with pixel art. I'll use one of my favorite subjects this time. Let's use a dragon. I use dragon quite a bit, as I said earlier. I'm going to copy and paste dragon. So I'm going to type in /imagine a dragon in the style of pixel art. And I'm going to send it off and just watch these results with the pixel art style used in Midjourney. As you can see, these are the kind of images that you get, and it's also kind of the image that you were expecting to get. That's what I like about using the pixel art style, is you know what you're getting into when you're using that command with a subject, with a background and environment, or whatever it may be. Styling technique number 10 is Impressionism. Now, Impressionism was created by a French painter by the name of Claude Monet. Now, this art movement was characterized by thin and small brush strokes, an open composition, unusual angles, and so much more. I personally think this style looks a lot like a watercolor painting. As you can see, the example for Impressionism is this nice painting here. You can see the very small brush strokes, yet it's still visible and you can tell what this image is. There are people sailing and boating down a river. You have a house back here, but it's in this very cool flowy type style, which is called Impressionism. So for this example prompt, I wanted to do a storm in the style of Impressionism. So I'm hoping that it pulls in some dark elements and makes it within the style of Impressionism. This is going to be on Midjourney 5.1, just like the other 9 examples. So I'm going to send it off and let's see the results. Now, this is what it generated for a storm in the style of Impressionism, and I think it turned out wonderful. This bottom right doesn't look very stormy, but as you can tell, the top left, it looks like there's a nice lighthouse up here. The sun is being eaten by these dark clouds. The waves are getting a little bit more rough, so I think that one did a great job. I also like the top right here, one of the more basic styles, but one that works every time and that I love to use. So those have been 10 styles that you can add into your AI art in order to increase the effect of your images. Now, adding a style can completely change the image around, so I recommend messing around with some of these that I've showed in the video. And if you want 40 more styles, what you can do is head down to the link in the description and purchase this AI Art Studio. Not only do I have 50 styles in here, but I've got 50 different color palettes, background and environments, subjects, lighting and shadows, compositions, you name it, the list goes on. So you can also upload your images to this gallery, click into the images to see what prompt you use. You can mess around with some of these engineered art prompts down here. So I'll leave a link in the top pinned comment in the description below if you would like to purchase the AI Art Studio 1.0. With that being said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please drop a like and subscribe. This video took a lot of work compiling all this footage together, editing it, and researching it. So any feedback at all is highly, highly appreciated. I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.